Have you ever felt like there's more to life than what meets the eye? Like there are unseen forces shaping our world? Well, you're not alone. In fact, there are 12 hidden rules that govern everything in our lives. These aren't just any rules. They're the universal laws that act as the basic instructions for how our universe works. And here's the exciting part. Once you understand these laws, your life can change in ways you never thought possible. Imagine having a guidebook for life, one that explains why things happen the way they do. That's exactly what these 12 universal laws offer. They're like the secret code of the universe, and when you crack it, you unlock a whole new way of living. These laws explain everything from why some people seem to have all the luck to how your thoughts can actually shape your reality. But here's the thing. If we don't know about these laws, we're basically stumbling around in the dark. We might work hard and still feel like we're getting nowhere. We might wonder why bad things keep happening to us, or why we can't seem to achieve our dreams. It's like trying to play a game without knowing the rules. Frustrating and often disappointing. Now, imagine what could happen if you did know these laws. Suddenly, you'd understand why things happen the way they do. You'd see patterns in your life that you never noticed before. And most importantly, you'd learn how to work with these laws instead of against them. It's like finally getting the rule book for the game of life. When we learn to work with these universal laws, amazing things start to happen. We can begin to achieve our dreams more easily. We find ourselves living in better harmony with the world around us. It's like the universe starts to cooperate with us instead of feeling like it's always working against us. Think about it this way. If you knew exactly how to plant a seed, water it, and care for it to make it grow into a strong tree, wouldn't that be helpful? Well, these laws are like that, but for every aspect of your life. They teach you how to plant the seeds of your desires, how to nurture them, and how to help them grow into reality. These 12 universal laws aren't new. In fact, they've been known by wise people for a very long time. Ancient philosophers, spiritual teachers, and even modern scientists have all recognized these laws in one way or another. They're not tied to any one religion or belief system. They're universal, applying to everyone and everything in our world. These laws explain how energy moves in the universe. Now, when we say energy, we're not just talking about electricity or the kind of energy you get from eating food. We're talking about the fundamental force that makes up everything in our world, including our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Understanding how this energy moves and changes can give us incredible insights into our lives. It's like learning the behind-the-scenes secrets of how the world really works. And the best part? We can use this knowledge to improve our lives in all sorts of ways. Now, you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but how does it actually help me in my day-to-day life? That's a great question, and the answer is, in more ways than you can imagine. Let's say you're struggling with your job. Maybe you feel stuck, unappreciated, or just unhappy. Understanding these universal laws can show you why you're in this situation and, more importantly, how to change it. You might learn how your own thoughts and attitudes are affecting your work life, or discover new ways to attract better opportunities. Or maybe you're having trouble in your relationships. The universal laws can shed light on why you keep encountering the same problems with different people. They can show you how to break negative patterns and attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships. Even something as simple as wanting to have more money can be transformed by understanding these laws. You'll learn why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth, while others struggle no matter how hard they work. And you'll discover how to shift your own energy to become a magnet for abundance. Learning about the 12 universal laws is like embarking on an exciting journey of discovery. With each law you understand, you'll gain new insights into yourself and the world around you. It's like putting on a pair of special glasses that let you see the hidden workings of the universe. But here's an important thing to remember. This isn't about gaining power over others or manipulating the world to get what you want. Instead, it's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of the universe. It's about working in harmony with these laws, not trying to bend them to your will. As you learn about each law, you might find yourself having aha moments. Suddenly, things that never made sense before will become clear. You'll start to see the bigger picture of how everything in life is connected, and you'll begin to understand your own role in creating your reality. This journey isn't always easy. Sometimes, learning about these laws means facing some hard truths about ourselves and our lives. We might realize that we've been standing in our own way, or that our long-held beliefs aren't serving us well. But remember, this self-discovery is all part of the growth process. It's like cleaning out a cluttered room. It might be messy at first, but the end result is so worth it. Now, let's dive into the first 3 of these amazing universal laws. Each one offers a unique perspective on how our world works, and each one can be a powerful tool for transforming our lives. The first universal law is the law of divine oneness. This law tells us that everything in our universe is connected. Every person, every animal, every plant, every star, we're all part of one big interconnected system. It's like we're all different leaves on the same giant tree. What does this mean for us? Well, it means that our actions don't just affect us, they affect everything and everyone around us. When you have a kind thought about someone, that kindness doesn't just stay in your head. It goes out into the world and can impact that person, even if you never say it out loud. This law also reminds us that we're never truly alone. No matter how isolated we might feel sometimes, we're always connected to the entire universe. It's a comforting thought, isn't it? Knowing that you're an important part of something so vast and amazing. Understanding the law of divine oneness can change how we treat others and how we think about ourselves. When we realize we're all connected, it becomes easier to feel compassion for others. We start to see that helping others is really a way of helping ourselves too. This law also encourages us to think about the consequences of our actions. If everything is connected, then even our smallest actions can have big effects. It's like dropping a pebble in a pond. The ripples spread out far beyond where the pebble fell. Living with awareness of this law can bring more harmony into our lives. We start to feel more in tune with the world around us. We might find ourselves becoming more considerate, more aware of how our actions affect others. And in turn, we often find that the world seems to become kinder and more harmonious towards us too. The second universal law is the law of vibration. This law states that everything in the universe is in constant motion. Even things that look solid and still are actually made up of rapidly moving energy. Now, this might sound a bit like a science lesson, but stay with me, because this law has some amazing implications for our lives. You see, according to this law, every thought, every emotion, every action has its own unique vibration or energy. Think of it like this. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt the vibe was off? Or met someone and instantly felt good around them? That's the law of vibration in action. You're picking up on the energy or vibrations that people and places are giving off. Understanding this law can help us in so many ways. For one, it explains why our thoughts and feelings are so powerful. Every thought you have sends out a certain vibration into the universe. Positive thoughts send out high energetic vibrations. Negative thoughts send out low, heavy vibrations. And here's the really interesting part. The law of vibration says that like attracts like. This means that the vibrations you send out tend to attract similar vibrations back to you. So if you're constantly thinking positive, uplifting thoughts, you're more likely to attract positive experiences and people into your life. This doesn't mean we should ignore negative emotions or pretend everything is always great. It's more about being aware of the overall tone of our thoughts and trying to shift towards more positive frequencies when we can. The law of vibration also explains why it's so important to surround ourselves with positive influences. The people we spend time with, the music we listen to, the shows we watch, they all have their own vibrations that can affect us. By choosing to surround ourselves with high vibration influences, we can lift our own energy. This law can be especially helpful when we're trying to make changes in our lives. Let's say you want to start a new career. By focusing on positive thoughts about this change, by imagining yourself succeeding in your new role, you're sending out vibrations that match your goal. This can help attract opportunities and people that will support your new path. Remember, though, that this isn't about just thinking happy thoughts and expecting everything to magically change. The law of vibration works best when we combine positive thoughts with aligned actions. It's about creating a harmony between what we think, what we feel, and what we do. The third universal law we're going to explore is the law of correspondence. This law is often summed up by the phrase, as above, so below, as within, so without. But what does that really mean? The law of correspondence tells us that there are patterns that repeat throughout the universe. The same principles that apply to the largest galaxies also apply to the tiniest atoms. And more importantly for us, the same patterns we see in the outer world are reflected in our inner world too. This law suggests that our outer life is a reflection of our inner life. The relationships we have, the work we do, the money we make, all of these outer experiences correspond to something within us. Our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions shape our external reality. Now, this might sound a bit intimidating at first. Does this mean that if bad things happen to us, it's all our fault? Not at all. The law of correspondence isn't about blame. Instead, it's about recognizing the connection between our inner and outer worlds and using that knowledge to create positive changes. Let's look at an example. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling really confident and positive, good things seem to happen more often? Maybe you have a great day at work, or you meet someone new and hit it off right away. That's the law of correspondence in action. Your positive inner state is reflected in positive outer experiences. On the flip side, when we're feeling stressed, anxious, or negative, we might notice more challenges or conflicts in our outer world. Again, this isn't about blame. It's about recognizing the pattern so we can start to shift it. One of the most empowering aspects of this law is that it puts us in the driver's seat of our lives. If we want to change something in our outer world, we can start by by changing our inner world. Want more loving relationships? Start by cultivating more love and compassion within yourself. Want more success at work? Begin by building your confidence and self-belief. The law of correspondence also reminds us to pay attention to the world around us. The challenges or patterns we see in our environment can give us clues about what we need to work on internally. If we keep encountering the same problems over and over, it might be a sign that there's something within us that needs healing or attention. This law can be particularly helpful when we're feeling stuck or unsure of what to do next. By looking at our outer circumstances, we can gain insights into our inner state. And by working on our inner state, our thoughts, beliefs, and emotions, we can start to shift our outer circumstances. Remember, though, that change doesn't usually happen overnight. Just like it takes time for a seed to grow into a plant, it can take time for our inner changes to fully manifest in our outer world. The key is to be patient and consistent. The law of correspondence also encourages us to take a holistic view of our lives. Instead of seeing our health, relationships, career, and spiritual life as separate areas, we start to see how they're all interconnected. A positive change in one area can create ripple effects that improve other areas too. As we work with this law, we might find ourselves becoming more observant, both of our inner world and the world around us. We start to notice patterns and connections we might have missed before. This increased awareness can be incredibly empowering, giving us new insights and opportunities for growth. Ultimately, the law of correspondence reminds us of our own power to shape our lives. It encourages us to take responsibility for our inner world, knowing that as we do so, we're also influencing our outer world. It's a reminder that each of us has the ability to create positive change starting from within. Now that we've explored these first three universal laws, you might be starting to see how powerful they can be. Each law offers a unique perspective on how our universe works, and each one gives us tools we can use to improve our lives. The law of divine oneness reminds us of our connection to everything and everyone. It encourages us to act with kindness and consideration, knowing that what we do affects not just us, but the whole world around us. The law of vibration teaches us about the power of our thoughts and emotions. It shows us how we can shift our energy to attract more of what we want in life, and how to be mindful of the influences we allow into our lives. The law of correspondence reveals the deep connection between our inner and outer worlds. It empowers us to create change from within, knowing that our inner transformation will be reflected in our outer circumstances. Together, these laws start to paint a picture of a universe that's interconnected, constantly moving, and responsive to our inner state. They show us that we're not just passive observers of our lives, but active creators. As you learn about these laws and start to apply them in your life, you might notice some changes. You might become more aware of your thoughts and how they affect your mood and your experiences. You might start to see connections and patterns in your life that you never noticed before. You might also find yourself becoming more intentional about how you live your life. Instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way, you might start to consciously choose your thoughts, your actions, and the energy you put out into the world. This new awareness can be exciting, but it can also feel a bit overwhelming at times. Remember, understanding and applying these laws is a journey. It's not about getting everything perfect right away. It's about gradual growth and learning. As you continue to explore these laws, You might find that some resonate with you more than others. That's completely normal. We're all on our own unique paths, and different laws might be more relevant to us at different times in our lives. The key is to stay open and curious. Try applying these laws in small ways in your daily life. Notice what happens when you consciously shift your thoughts to a more positive frequency. Pay attention to how your inner state affects your outer experiences. And most importantly, be patient and kind with yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a process, and every small step you take is progress. Laws 4 to 6, unveiling more universal truths. As we continue our journey through the 12 universal laws, we're about to uncover 3 more powerful principles that shape our reality. These laws build upon what we've already learned, offering even deeper insights into how we can align ourselves with the universe's natural flow. You've probably heard of the law of attraction before. It's become quite popular in recent years, and for good reason. This law states that like attracts like. In other words, the energy you put out into the universe is the same energy you'll attract back to yourself. Think of yourself as a human magnet. Your thoughts, feelings, and actions are constantly sending out signals to the universe. And just like a magnet, you're attracting things that match those signals back to you. If you're constantly thinking positive, optimistic thoughts, you're more likely to attract positive experiences and opportunities. On the flip side, if you're always focused on what's going wrong, you might find yourself encountering more challenges and setbacks. Now, this doesn't mean that just thinking about something will make it magically appear in your life. The law of attraction isn't about wishful thinking. It's about aligning your entire being with what you want to attract. This means your thoughts, your emotions, your beliefs, and your actions all need to be in harmony. Let's say you want to attract more abundance into your life. It's not enough to just think, I want more money. You need to truly believe that you're worthy of abundance, feel grateful for what you already have, and take actions that align with your goal of increasing your wealth. The law of attraction also teaches us the importance of focusing on what we want rather than what we don't want. Have you ever noticed that when you're worried about something, it seems to happen more often? That's because you're putting a lot of energy and focus into that thing you're trying to avoid. Instead, try to focus your energy on what you do want to experience. This law can be incredibly empowering because it puts you in control of your life. Instead of feeling like things just happen to you, you start to see how you're actively participating in creating your reality. It encourages you to be more mindful of your thoughts and feelings and to consciously choose where you direct your energy. Remember, though, that the law of attraction isn't about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It's about maintaining a positive focus even in the face of challenges and believing in the possibility of positive outcomes. It's about seeing obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than insurmountable barriers. As you work with the law of attraction, you might find yourself becoming more aware of your habitual thought patterns. You might notice negative self-talk that you weren't conscious of before. This awareness is the first step in making positive changes. Once you recognize these patterns, you can start to shift them, replacing negative thoughts with more positive, empowering ones. The law of inspired action is closely connected to the law of attraction, but it adds a crucial element. While the law of attraction is about aligning your energy with what you want, the law of inspired action is about taking concrete steps to make those desires a reality. This law reminds us that manifesting our desires isn't just about thinking and feeling, it's also about doing. But not just any kind of doing. The law of inspired action is about taking action that feels right, that feels inspired. Have you ever had a sudden urge to call an old friend, only to find out they were just thinking about you? Or felt drawn to take a different route home and ended up avoiding a traffic jam? That's inspired action. It's those nudges, those gut feelings, those moments of sudden inspiration that seem to come out of nowhere. The law of inspired action encourages us to pay attention to these nudges and act on them. It's about trusting our intuition and following through on those ideas that light us up inside. This doesn't mean you should act impulsively on every random thought that pops into your head. Inspired action comes from a place of alignment with your true self and your deepest desires. It feels good. It feels right, even if it might be a little scary sometimes. Working with this law means learning to distinguish between inspired action and action driven by fear, obligation, or what we think we should do. Inspired action energizes you. Even if it's challenging, it feels meaningful and aligned with your values and goals. For example, let's say you've been wanting to start your own business. Inspired action might look like suddenly feeling motivated to research business plans or feeling drawn to attend a networking event you hadn't planned on going to. It might be bumping into someone who has valuable advice for new entrepreneurs. These are the kinds of synchronicities that often accompany inspired action. The law of inspired action also reminds us of the importance of balance between being and doing. While it's crucial to take action towards our goals, it's equally important to create space for inspiration to strike. This might mean setting aside time for meditation, going for walks in nature, or simply allowing yourself moments of quiet reflection throughout your day. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more attuned to your inner guidance. You might start to recognize the difference between actions that feel forced or obligatory and those that feel inspired and energizing. This can lead to a more authentic, fulfilling way of living and working towards your goals. Remember, inspired action doesn't always mean big, dramatic moves. Sometimes it's small steps, taken consistently over time, that lead to the biggest changes. The key is to stay open to inspiration and to have the courage to act on it when it comes. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy might sound complex, but it's actually a principle we see in action every day. This law states that energy is constantly moving and changing form. Nothing in the universe stays the same forever. Everything is in a constant state of transformation. Think about a seed turning into a plant or a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. These are examples of energy changing form. But this law applies to more than just physical transformations. It also applies to our thoughts, emotions, and circumstances. What this means for us is that no situation, no matter how difficult or unchangeable it might seem, is permanent. Everything is always in the process of becoming something else. This law offers us hope and reminds us of our power to create change in our lives. Let's say you're in a job you don't like. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy reminds you that this situation isn't fixed. The energy of your dissatisfaction can be transformed into motivation to learn new skills or seek out new opportunities. Your current circumstances are just energy in one form, and that energy can be transmuted into something else. This law also applies to our internal states. A negative thought can be transmuted into a positive one. An emotion like anger can be transformed into determination or compassion. It's all about recognizing that these states are energy, and energy can always be shifted and changed. One of the most empowering aspects of this law is that it puts us in control of this process of transmutation. Through our thoughts, intentions, and actions, we can consciously direct the transformation of energy in our lives. For instance, if you're feeling stressed about a challenging situation, you can choose to transmute that energy. Instead of letting stress drain your energy, you could channel it into problem-solving actions. The energy hasn't disappeared. It's just changed form from something that was holding you back into something that's moving you forward. The law of perpetual transmutation of energy also reminds us to be patient with ourselves and others. Just as it takes time for a seed to grow into a plant, personal growth and life changes often happen gradually. What matters is that we're consistently putting energy into the direction we want to go. This law encourages us to see every moment as an opportunity for transformation. Every interaction, every challenge, every success is a chance to transmute energy into a higher, more positive form. It's about constantly evolving, growing, and becoming the best version of ourselves. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more aware of the energy around you and within you. You might start to see challenges as opportunities for growth and transformation rather than as obstacles. You might become more conscious of how you're using your energy and more intentional about directing it towards your goals and desires. Remember, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy is always at work, whether we're conscious of it or not. By becoming aware of it and learning to work with it intentionally, we can take a more active role in shaping our lives and our world. As we've explored these three laws, the law of attraction, the law of inspired action, and the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, you might be wondering how to apply them in your everyday life. The beauty of these laws is that they work together, each one supporting and enhancing the others. Start by becoming more aware of your thoughts and feelings throughout the day. Notice what you're attracting into your life and consider how it relates to your inner state. Are there patterns you'd like to change? Use the law of attraction to start shifting your focus towards what you do want rather than what you don't want. At the same time, stay open to inspiration and be ready to act on it. When you feel a positive nudge or have an idea that excites you, don't ignore it. That's the law of inspired action at work. Take those inspired steps, even if they're small ones. And through it all, remember that everything is always changing. If you're in a tough situation, know that it's temporary. If you're working towards a goal, trust that your efforts are constantly transmuting energy in the direction of your desires. Every positive thought, every inspired action is energy being transformed into something new. As you work with these laws, be patient with yourself. Change doesn't always happen overnight, but it is always happening. Trust the process and keep aligning yourself with the energy of what you want to create in your life. These universal laws offer us a new way of understanding ourselves and our world. They show us that we're not passive observers of our lives, but active creators. By understanding and working with these laws, we can start to navigate life with more clarity, purpose, and joy. Laws 7 to 9, deepening our understanding. As we continue our exploration of the 12 universal laws, we're about to uncover 3 more profound principles that govern our reality. These laws further expand our understanding of how the universe works and provide us with even more tools to create positive change in our lives. The law of cause and effect, also known as the law of karma, is a fundamental principle that states every action has a consequence. In simple terms, what you put out into the world is what you get back. This law reminds us that we are responsible for our actions and the energy we send out into the universe. Think of life as a boomerang. Whatever you throw out there, be it thoughts, words, or actions, will eventually come back to you. If you spread kindness and positivity, you're likely to receive kindness and positivity in return. On the other hand, if you constantly criticize others or harbor negative thoughts, you might find yourself experiencing more negativity in your life. This law isn't about punishment or reward. It's simply about balance and learning. Every effect we experience in our lives is the result of a cause, something we've done, said, or thought in the past. By understanding this, we can start to take more responsibility for our experiences and make more conscious choices. For example, if you find yourself constantly in conflict with others, the law of cause and effect would encourage you to look at your own behavior. Are you quick to judge? Do you often react with anger? By recognizing your role in creating these situations, you can start to change the cause and consequently the effect. The law of cause and effect also teaches us about the power of our thoughts. Our thoughts are a form of energy, and according to this law, they have real effects in the physical world. Positive, optimistic thoughts tend to lead to positive outcomes, while negative, pessimistic thoughts often result in negative experiences. This doesn't mean we should ignore problems or pretend everything is perfect. Instead, it's about approaching challenges with a constructive mindset. Instead of thinking, "This always happens to me," try thinking, "What can I learn from this situation?" This shift in perspective can change the energy you're putting out and, as a result, change the effects you experience. The law of cause and effect also reminds us to be patient. Sometimes the effects of our actions aren't immediately apparent. Just like a farmer planting seeds doesn't see the harvest right away, the results of our actions might take time to manifest. This law encourages us to trust the process and keep putting positive energy into the world, even when we don't see immediate results. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more mindful of your thoughts, words, and actions. You might start to see more clearly how your past choices have shaped your current reality. This awareness can be incredibly empowering, as it shows us that we have the ability to shape our future by making conscious choices in the present. The law of compensation is closely related to the law of cause and effect, but it focuses specifically on the idea of giving and receiving. This law states that we will always be compensated for our contributions, whether those contributions are positive or negative. Think of the universe as a big accounting system, always keeping track of what we give and what we receive. According to this law, everything we do is an investment that will yield returns. If we invest in helping others, in personal growth, in creating value in the world, we will receive positive returns. If we invest in harmful or negative actions, we'll receive negative returns. This law goes beyond just material compensation. It's about energy exchange in all forms: love, respect, knowledge, opportunities, and yes, sometimes material rewards too. The key is that the compensation always matches the nature of what was given. For example, if you consistently go out of your way to help others, you might find that help comes to you when you need it most. If you freely share your knowledge and skills, you might find more learning opportunities coming your way. The compensation might not always come from the same source you gave to, but according to this law, it will always come back to you in some form. The law of compensation also teaches us about the importance of giving without expecting immediate returns. When we give freely and joyfully, without attachment to the outcome, we open ourselves up to receiving in unexpected and abundant ways. This law encourages us to focus on the value we're creating in the world rather than just what we can get from it. It's about asking, how can I contribute, rather than what's in it for me? When we shift our focus to giving and creating value, we often find that we receive much more in return. However, the law of compensation also reminds us of the importance of balance. It's not about giving everything away and depleting ourselves. It's about finding a healthy balance between giving and receiving, and making sure we're open to receiving the good that comes our way. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more aware of the energy exchanges in your life. You might start to see more clearly how your contributions are being compensated, even in ways you hadn't noticed before. This awareness can lead to a greater sense of abundance and gratitude in your life. The law of relativity teaches us that everything in the universe is neutral. Nothing is inherently good or bad, big or small, hard or easy. It all depends on what we're comparing it to. This law reminds us that our perspective shapes our reality. Think about hot and cold. What feels hot to you might feel cold to someone else, depending on what they're used to. The same principle applies to all aspects of our lives. A challenge that seems insurmountable to one person might be a small obstacle to another. A salary that seems generous in one part of the world might be barely enough to live on in another. This law encourages us to shift our perspective when we're facing challenges. Instead of thinking, "This is so hard," we can ask ourselves, compared to what? There's always someone facing bigger challenges, and there's always someone who would see our problems as small in comparison to their own. The law of relativity doesn't mean we should dismiss our problems or compare our struggles to others in a way that minimizes our experiences. Instead, it's about gaining perspective and finding empowerment in that perspective. It's about recognizing that our perception of a situation has a huge impact on how we experience it. For example, if you're feeling discouraged about your progress towards a goal, the law of relativity would encourage you to look at how far you've come rather than how far you still have to go. Compared to where you started, you've likely made significant progress, even if you're not where you want to be yet. This law also teaches us about the power of gratitude. By comparing our current situation to times when things were harder or to hypothetical worse scenarios, we can cultivate appreciation for what we have now. This shift in perspective can dramatically change our emotional state and consequently our actions and outcomes. The law of relativity also reminds us not to judge others. We never know the full context of someone else's life or the challenges they're facing. What might seem like a small problem to us could be a major struggle for someone else depending on their circumstances and past experiences. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more flexible in your thinking. You might start to catch yourself when you're making absolute judgments and instead ask, compared to what? This shift can lead to more compassion for yourself and others, and a greater ability to find the silver lining in challenging situations. As we approach the end of our journey through the 12 universal laws, we're about to uncover the final 3 principles. These laws complete our understanding of how the universe operates and provide us with powerful tools for personal growth and transformation. The law of polarity states that everything in the universe has an opposite. For every up, there's a down. For every problem, there's a solution. This law reminds us that opposites are really 2 extremes of the same thing. Think about hot and cold. They might seem like opposites, but they're really just different degrees of temperature. The same goes for light and dark. They're different levels of the same thing. Illumination. This law is incredibly empowering because it teaches us that if we're experiencing something negative, its positive counterpart also exists. If you're feeling sad, the potential for happiness is there too. If you're struggling with a problem, the solution exists as well. The law of polarity encourages us to look for the positive in every situation. Even in our darkest moments, there's always a glimmer of light if we're willing to look for it. This doesn't mean ignoring or dismissing negative experiences. Instead, it's about recognizing that every coin has 2 sides, and we have the power to shift our focus from one side to the other. For example, if you're going through a difficult time at work, the law of polarity would remind you that this challenge also presents an opportunity for growth and learning. If you're feeling lonely, this law suggests that the potential for meaningful connections exists within that loneliness. Working with this law can help us develop resilience and optimism. Instead of getting stuck in negative thoughts or situations, we can train ourselves to look for the positive polar opposite. This shift in perspective can open up new possibilities and solutions we might not have seen otherwise. The law of polarity also teaches us about balance. Just as the universe contains both positive and negative, light and dark, we too contain multitudes. Embracing all aspects of ourselves and our experiences, rather than trying to eliminate the negative, can lead to greater wholeness and harmony. As you work with this law, you might find yourself becoming more adept at finding the silver lining in challenging situations. You might start to see problems as opportunities in disguise. This doesn't mean you'll never feel negative emotions, but you'll have a powerful tool for shifting your perspective when you need it most. The law of rhythm tells us that everything in the universe moves in cycles. Just as we have seasons in nature, our lives also have seasons. This law reminds us that change is constant and that everything flows through cycles of high and low, active and passive. Think about the rhythms in nature, day and night, the phases of the moon, the changing seasons. Our lives have similar rhythms. We have times of high energy and productivity, and times when we need rest and reflection. We have periods of growth and expansion, and periods of consolidation and integration. Understanding the law of rhythm can bring great comfort during challenging times. When we're in a low period, we can remember that this too shall pass. A high period will come again, just as spring always follows winter. This law encourages us to flow with these natural rhythms rather than fighting against them. When we're in a high energy phase, we can make the most of it by taking action towards our goals. When we're in a low energy phase, we can use this time for rest, reflection, and planning. For example, if you're feeling stuck or unmotivated in your work or personal projects, the law of rhythm would suggest that this is a natural part of the creative cycle. Instead of pushing yourself harder, you might need to take a step back, rest, and allow new ideas to incubate. Trust that your energy and motivation will return, just as the sun always rises after the night. The law of rhythm also teaches us about patience and timing. Sometimes our efforts don't yield immediate results because the timing isn't right. This law reminds us to trust the process and keep moving forward, knowing that we're always in the right place at the right time in the grand rhythm of life. Working with this law can help us develop greater acceptance and resilience. Instead of getting frustrated when things aren't moving as quickly as we'd like, we can trust in the natural ebb and flow of life. We can learn to make the most of each phase of the cycle, whether it's a time of action or a time of rest. As you become more attuned to the law of rhythm, you might start to recognize the cycles in your own life more clearly. You might become better at pacing yourself, knowing when to push forward and when to step back. This awareness can lead to a more balanced, harmonious way of living and working. The law of gender, also known as the law of gestation, states that everything in nature has both masculine and feminine principles, and that all creation goes through a gestation period before manifesting. This law isn't about biological gender. Instead, it's about the interplay between active and receptive energies, between doing and being. The masculine principle is associated with action, giving, and the logical mind. The feminine principle is associated with reception, nurturing, and intuition. According to this law, both of these principles are necessary for creation. Just as it takes both a seed and fertile soil to grow a plant, it takes both active and receptive energies to bring our dreams and goals into reality. The law of gender also teaches us about the importance of timing and patience. Just as a baby needs 9 months to develop before birth, our ideas and projects also need time to gestate before they can manifest in the physical world. This law encourages us to find a balance between action and receptivity in our lives. It's not just about constantly doing and pushing. We also need times of rest, reflection, and openness to receive inspiration and allow our ideas to develop. For example, if you're working on a big project or trying to make a significant change in your life, the law of gender would remind you to balance your active efforts with periods of rest and receptivity. It would also encourage you to be patient, knowing that your efforts are germinating even when you can't see visible results yet. The law of gender can be particularly helpful when we're feeling impatient or discouraged about our progress. It reminds us that creation is a process and that what we're nurturing needs time to grow and develop before it can come to fruition. This law also teaches us about the power of collaboration and the importance of integrating different perspectives and energies. Just as it takes both masculine and feminine principles to create life, our projects and goals often benefit from a combination of different approaches and viewpoints. As you work with the law of gender, you might find yourself becoming more aware of the balance between action and receptivity in your life. You might start to honor your ideas and projects by giving them the time they need to develop fully. This can lead to more sustainable success and a deeper sense of fulfillment in your creative endeavors. As we conclude our journey through the 12 universal laws, it's important to remember that these laws are not separate entities, but interconnected principles that work together to govern our universe. By understanding and applying these laws in our daily lives, we can align ourselves more closely with the natural flow of the universe and create more harmony, success, and fulfillment in our lives. From the law of divine oneness that reminds us of our interconnectedness, to the law of attraction that shows us the power of our thoughts and feelings, to the law of gender that teaches us about balance and patience in creation, each of these laws offers profound wisdom that can transform our lives. Remember, working with these laws is not about perfection. It's about awareness and gradual alignment. As you continue to explore and apply these principles, you may find that your perception of yourself and the world around you begins to shift. You may become more conscious of your thoughts and actions, more aware of the energy you're putting out into the world, and more in tune with the natural rhythms and cycles of life. These laws offer us a framework for understanding our experiences and a tool set for creating positive change. They remind us of our power as co-creators of our reality, while also teaching us about patience, trust, and the importance of aligning with the natural flow of the universe. As you move forward from here, consider how you can integrate these laws into your daily life. Perhaps you'll start each day by setting a positive intention, aligning with the law of attraction. Maybe you'll practice looking for the opportunity in every challenge, embodying the law of polarity. Or perhaps you'll cultivate more patience with your goals and dreams, honoring the law of gender. Remember, the universe is always working in your favor. By understanding and aligning with these universal laws, you're not fighting against the current, but flowing with it. You're not just living life, but co-creating it in partnership with the universe. So go forth with this knowledge, apply it in your life, and watch as your world transforms. Trust in the process, be patient with yourself, and know that every step you take in alignment with these laws is a step towards a more fulfilling, harmonious, and abundant life. The power to shape your reality is within you, guided by these timeless, universal laws.